Hello, I'm Ed Van Gennep, President of the Museum of Natural Science and History. We've been talking about different examples from science showing the difference between a fundamental belief in evolution versus creation and looking at the evidence to see which best fits. Today, we're not going to look at science. Today, we're going to look at the Science Center, the Museum of Natural Science and History's Nature's World of Wonder, or WOW as we're calling it. We're going to look at the different exhibits that are inside and what we're learning from each one. Nature's World of Wonder will be a high-tech, immersive environment using the latest in technology, videos and attractions to immerse our guests. When we first enter the museum, we're going to go in the foyer. The foyer will be a large open space where your guests can gather together. There will be a T-Rex skeleton there as well as a woolly mammoth to show the size of some of these animals that are now extinct. Below the foyer is the amphitheater. The amphitheater will be a sloped room with a big theater and a stage at the front where guest speakers can come in and present their area, their specialty of science, and explain what their research has shown in comparison of creation versus evolution. There'll also be high-tech, high-quality Hollywood-style movies shown there. We will have a flood motion simulator, a ride you climb into and you move. It moves in different directions, 6 degrees of motion, to simulate what it would be like to go through the flood, to be there with Noah when the water started rising up on the earth and flooded it, and see the ark being lifted up, traveling through the rocks and seeing all the flooding and the environment that happened at that time, and then settling back down again as the floodwaters receded. The purpose of the flood motion simulator is to show how large an impact a global worldwide flood would have had on the surface of the earth, and that's how hard it is for scientists today to determine what happened in the distant past, because the flood would have drastically changed that environment. If you don't believe in a flood, as many scientists don't, you cannot properly interpret the world. Then we have the Walk of Faith. Our visitors will be strapped into a safety harness, hooked into a railing above their head as they climb up ladders, across rickety boards and ropes, climbing through this maze kind of area. The purpose is to teach us about faith. Every single person has faith. We all believe in something. We believe that the chairs we sit on will hold us up. We believe that our doctors give us good advice. We believe that this world was created in one way or another, either through evolution, a long period of time, random processes, or that there is a creator, a God who created everything we have today. Then we have a hyperbaric chamber, a large chamber with plants growing in it. The purpose is to show the climate before the flood, what the world was like, how there's more oxygen in the air, higher pressure, different kind of climate, and plants grew much larger than they are today. And we can see evidence of that. When they drill for oil in the Arctic, they find huge plants buried under the ground that have fossilized. So we know the Arctic was once tropical. So this chamber will show us some plant growth, what it was like in the distant past. The Grand Canyon exhibit will probably be the largest exhibit to allow people to walk down into the Grand Canyon, or a model of the Grand Canyon. And as they walk down the sides, they'll see how big the Grand Canyon is. They'll see the different layers of rock, an explanation of how those layers formed. They'll see fossils in the rock. When they get to the bottom, under the canyon, we'll have exhibits showing how oil can be made in the lab in 30 minutes, how coal can form in the ground in 8 months, how fossils can be formed very quickly as well under the right conditions. So in all these cases, we're showing that we don't need millions or even billions of years to create these things. The Grand Canyon could have been formed very quickly if the world was flooded in water and all of a sudden the earth opened up and that water rushed off the continent of the United States and cut that huge canyon in the west. Space, the final frontier, as Star Trek says. The space exhibit will show us science, measurements that we take from space, again to show us that the universe is young. There's a lot of evidence in space to show us the universe is young, and this will be a way to explain that. We'll look at life on the Ark. If there was a global flood and people survived for over a year on this big boat with all these animals, how did they do it? We'll explain a little bit about how life on the Ark could have been lived. The Hall of Scientists will be a display showing different animatronic scientist figures from the past. Great ones like Sir Isaac Newton, John Clerk Maxwell, Samuel Morse, and many others. and their contribution to science, to the world that we have today, and also what they believed with respect to whether there is a God who created everything or whether we're here by random chance. Climate change is a huge issue in the world today. Is climate change happening? Are we the causes of it due to overpopulation, due to pollution, those kinds of factors? Let's look at the evidence, not so much the emotion of it all, but the climate change exhibit will allow us to look at that. And also included in that is information about the world population. Is the world overpopulated? Do we have too many people for our planet to sustain? Because there's not enough food, not enough fresh water for us all. So we'll look at that as well. There are many, many more exhibits, more pieces of science we're going to look at in Nature's World of Wonder, or the WOW Science Center. It'll be a high technology, exciting, interactive environment. Why are we doing this? Why are we going through the trouble to build this? Most of what we hear today is very one-sided. Television, different kinds of media, movies, schools, they all promote evolution as the origin of life and the shaping of the world we're in today. Yet there are other theories, that there is a God or gods is a primary one. So we're doing this to enlighten people, to show them that there are other options. It's hard to make an informed decision, actually impossible to make an informed decision when you only have one choice. You only know about evolution. But by showing the evidence for creation, people can now choose between the two, what they want to believe. And we believe that that choice will dramatically affect their lives and their purpose, their value in life. The Bible says in Romans chapter 1, verse 20, that all nature declares the glory of the Lord, so that mankind is without excuse. If we can look at nature and we can sense that there is a God, why would we believe in evolution? We can see the order, but we can't explain it. And that's because we've never been taught the alternative view. So thus we seek to show both sides of the story, to decide what they want to believe and how they want to live their life. Our estimates are that the museum and the land will cost $100 million. That's why we have this fundraising campaign. I'm not talking about the funding today, that will be in the next video. So far we raised about $80,000. In this fundraising campaign right now, we're looking for $100,000. We have a long way to go. We're far from that goal, and time's running out. We appeal to you, the viewer who sees this, to think, is this something I want to support? Is this kind of a science center a good thing? Do we need this in Canada, in Toronto or Niagara Falls area? I and my board members and many others believe we do. I hope you believe it as well, and you will support us.